In today's episode, we're going to cover some 101 basics on affiliate marketing. Let's jump right into this. I'm sitting at my laptop right now recording this episode, and I just fired up Google. I threw in the terms rewards credit cards into the search. I am staring at 4 sponsored ads. These are paid search ads. The first one's from Credit Karma. The second one's from NerdWallet. The third's call from Built Rewards, Bankrate. All right, so 3 out of the 4 sponsored ads are marketing affiliates, not direct lenders. They're affiliates that aggregate these products. So let's get into the organics now. So NerdWallet, Chase Bank, Credit Karma, US News Money, Forbes, The Points Guy, CNBC, Bankrate, Wells Fargo, Yahoo Finance. So of the organic results, 2 out of the top 10 were banks, or in other words, direct lenders. The rest were what I call credit affiliates or affiliate marketplaces. And again, that's the focus of this podcast, is to talk about how these things work and how to set up your lending business to be as successful as possible in distributing products through these channels. So let's go a level deeper now. NerdWallet was the top organic result. So I'm in NerdWallet now, and now I scroll down, I see a table. On the left, I see pictures of different credit cards. I see NerdWallet's ratings, an annual fee. These are ranging, most of them are $0. Some of them are showing $0 for the first year, then $95. That's the United Explorer card. I have that card, I like it. I see Venture, $95 annual fee. And then the other columns on their table, the rewards rate. So how much I earn on my spend, the intro offer. All these products have pretty good intro offers. And then an apply now button. And the apply now buttons take me to the lender's website. They pop a form that asks me for my name, my address, my phone number, etc. This is what the consumer sees. We're kind of in the consumer level of this affiliate marketing game. But what we're here to talk about today is like what's going on behind the scenes here. How do these things work? And if you're a lender, how do you set yourself up to really take advantage of these channels? So before we get into that, actually, I want to hit on a question I get often, which is how big are these affiliates? Said differently, what percentage of all, and we're staring at credit cards here, so let's just run with that example. What percentage of all credit cards are opened through sites like this? NerdWallet, Credit Karma, Experian, Forbes, CNBC, the list goes on. I read some of those to you when we were going through the Google results. And I'll tell you a few things. So one is I'm working with a market research provider right now to get a really grounded answer to that question. I'll drop that in a future episode. I think it's something we should discuss and put data around. If I had to guess, I would put it at around 20%. 20% of all branded credit cards. And by branded, I mean they have the Chase brand, they have the Wells Fargo brand, the Bank of America brand. That's to distinguish from co-branded products. I mentioned the United Explorer card. That's a co-brand with Chase. So we have to exclude the co-brands because their distribution is quite different from the branded products. But I think for branded credit cards, I would guess industry-wide around 20%. I work with clients in this category, and I can see as a percentage of their mix. And the clients I work with are generally in direct mail. They're in paid media. They're in own channels like branches, brand marketing that they do on their own. They're in social media. So they're in a wide range of channels. And I've seen affiliate range from, the teens all the way into like some crazy numbers, like 50 to 70% of their book coming from affiliate channels. A lot of activity here. Thus the reason for the business I started, which is to advise lenders on how to play this game. And this podcast is here to educate you, the lender, the marketer who's getting into this for the first time or has been in it for a while and is looking to optimize and pick up even more momentum. So we're staring at this NerdWallet listing page. So let's talk about how these generally work. I'm not going to comment here on NerdWallet. I've actually not done a lot of business with them directly. So what I'm about to describe is the general model, whether it applies to NerdWallet, but it may not. So some people may stare at this and say, okay, well, the Wells Fargo Active Cash, that's the product that's listed at the top of the page. It must be because Wells Fargo just pays them the most money for this listing per month or something like that. That's actually not how it works. These channels tend to be performance driven. And the lender, in this case Wells Fargo, wouldn't be paying NerdWallet until they actually approve the customer. So for NerdWallet to monetize this ad, someone has to see it, like it enough to click, land on Wells Fargo's site, complete that application, run through Wells Fargo's underwriting process, and get approved. At that point, Wells Fargo would send a signal back to NerdWallet that says, yep, click ID number whatever, they'll have some code, was approved. I owe you a bounty. Bounties for these prime products are all over the place, but they're in the hundreds of dollars. Let's just say I owe you $200, NerdWallet. We're going to count how many of these transactions we do in 1 month. You're going to send me an invoice, and I'm going to write you a nice check at the end of the month. So notice it's performance-based. So let's talk about some oddball scenarios. NerdWallet didn't deliver a single approval in a given month for whatever reason. If that's the case, Wells isn't writing a check. That invoice is going to say 0 conversions, no money changes hands. So these deal structures between the lender and the affiliate partner tend to be what I call option-based deals. And what I mean by option-based deals is like NerdWallet doesn't actually have to send Wells Fargo anything. If you look at that deal, and again, I don't know the details of this deal, so this is all just to illustrate I see as the general structure in the industry. The publisher's not committed to send any volume. So if the operators at the affiliate woke up tomorrow and said, hey, this product's not performing, people aren't clicking on it, they don't seem to be getting approved for whatever reason, they could pull it off the page, they could put it at the bottom of the page. There's all sorts of stuff that they need to do. And we think about the publisher economics here. They need to be maximizing revenue per impression is what I see most often. That's what I would be doing if I ran one of these sites. But they could be optimizing on any number of things. They could be optimizing on revenue per click. They could be factoring in how many customers click as a proxy for how well are these products that they're delivering resonating with their audiences. So there's a number of ways, but I think safe to assume revenue per impression is what a good chunk of these affiliate partners are optimizing for, at least from a financial perspective. So that's the publisher's end of the deal, is that they have an option to send traffic. On the lender side of the deal, they're agreeing to take the traffic that the publisher sends and in good faith run them through their underwriting model. And when they approve a customer, to pay a specific amount of money. And the contracts are very specific on what that amount of money is. Okay, so let's pause to recap this agreement. So we're saying the publisher has the option to send leads to the lender anytime they want. We're saying the lender has the option to approve or decline any of the leads the publisher sends. So really all we're agreeing to is the amount of money that will change hands when the lender approves one of those leads. And by the way, if you read these contracts closely, even that payout is generally not locked in. It may be locked in for a week or a month or something like that, but generally either side can raise their hand and they can say, I don't think that number is right. I want it to be higher. I want it to be lower. So we have high optionality here on both sides. I want to drive this to two big ideas that I want you to take away. The first flows naturally from the publisher's financial incentives. And the big idea here is you need to be doing everything that you can as the lender to optimize conversion rate. And I mean everything. That includes getting your click rate as high as possible. That'll imply you're thinking about what is that sign up bonus you're offering, that rewards rate, the annual fee, the image you decide to share with your affiliate, the name of the product, the marketing bullets that are loaded into that product listing. Any little detail that gets your click rate up means you are more likely to rise in the rankings. Because again, if our framework is affiliate publishers are optimizing revenue per impression, or said differently, they're optimizing the total revenue that they get from the ads that they serve, they should be serving the products with the highest conversion rate times payout. So obviously payout is a lever. So if you pay a little bit more, the revenue per impression for the publisher will go up. We talked about click rate. We talked about application rate is often overlooked. So I see lenders show up with 3, 4, 5, 6 page application flows that ask for too much information from the customer. Those need to be streamlined because the lever you control most directly in this engagement is your conversion rate and your payout. So since application rate compounds anything you do in the funnel, we need to be optimizing that. And then the last thing is approval rate. So many marketers come into this game thinking, well, I don't really control approval rate. My risk team does that. And I'll challenge you and say, well, yes, that's true. But what you can control with many of your affiliate partnerships is the targeting that you put on the top of the funnel. So what information can you share with your affiliate partners so that when your ad is served to a given audience, your funnel is highly effective. It has that high click rate and application rate, but also that very high approval rate. That's going to all compound together to the publisher's RPI. So that's big idea number one. You need to be obsessed with your conversion rate because that's going to be the fuel to motivate your publisher to show your offer as often as possible and in the best possible placement. The second big idea is wire your brain, your behavior, your mindset in this channel and make it such that you work for the affiliate partner. I'll just contrast that with what I see sometimes in the category, which is lenders showing up saying, well, I write the checks here. Clearly, I have the power in this relationship. The publisher needs me more than I need them. So I'm going to show up and make demands and be pushy, and that's going to be the way I succeed. So let me offer you this. Let's think back on that listing page we were reviewing earlier. I'll just pull it up again. It was this NerdWallet page with rewards cards. And I'm not counting exactly here, but like I see 15 odd products listed. If any one of these products disappeared from the listing page, the rankings would readjust and the same customers would be coming in from Google. It's very much a demand capture channel. And whether or not you're in the channel isn't really going to change the top line revenue for the publisher's business. It might adjust what revenue comes from each of those products. And yeah, it might concentrate them more in the remaining products. So yeah, so there's definitely some consequences there for a lender pulling out. But unless you have a very unique segment that you underwrite or a very unique value prop, most likely what's going to happen is their revenues won't change a heck of a lot. From your perspective, if you pulled out of the NerdWallet marketplace, this is demand that's going to still show up on NerdWallet and that's going to go most likely to your competitors. That's the framework or an illustration to kind of justify this approach of, look, work for them. Furthermore, when you approach them on partnership opportunities, when you talk about things you can do together, don't lose sight of the fact that they need to make business decisions that serve their investors, their stakeholders, their customers. So they need to feel that whatever you're offering to their customers is fair, is best in class, so on and so forth. And then, of course, they're going to be making sure that you're happy. So when you show up with partnership opportunities or asks, if you can frame it in ways that make it obvious to them that you understand their business and that you're putting it through the filter of revenue / investor, consumer, and partner, and you're able to articulate why that thing you're asking for is good for all three constituents, you're going to be set up to win. So let's recap what we just discussed there. Let's first put ourselves in the publisher's shoes. What they're looking for are products that they feel proud of putting in front of their customers, and they want to see marketing funnels that convert. The combination of those two things helps them get high leverage from the real estate they've built and the traffic that they're driving to their properties. And now from the lender's perspective, they're looking for a few things. One is a material volume of new customer acquisition. Second is customer quality. Third, they're looking for a cost of acquisition that can work. And then lastly, they'd like to see growth out of the channel. So that's the nature of the game. And then the partnership usually revolves around integrations, data sharing, things that that both the publisher and the lender can build together that can be win-win. So in this next section, I want to talk you through what I consider a super lever. And that super lever is the approval rate. When you get your approval rate right, it has a way of compounding and working its way through the entire funnel. So before we get into the details of this, I want to walk you through in what context this is relevant. So I'm thinking about channels like Credit Karma or Experian Marketplace or Credit Sesame or Wallet Hub. These are all examples of affiliate marketplaces that have a few things in common. One, when a customer signs up for those products, they give explicit consent to the publisher to pull their credit on a regular basis. Two, those platforms require the user to log in when they experience the product. The other thing to keep in mind here is these marketplaces have a strong incentive to steer the customer to products that they're actually going to get approved for. And the way they do that is they tag ads or offers, as they sometimes call them, with an approval rating or an approval odds badge. The basic idea is I'm staring at, say, a Capital One Venture card, and the publisher will tell me, hey, Carlos, your odds are good, or they're fair, or they're excellent, or they're amazing, or whatever language they come up with, right? But the idea is, as the customer's browsing the listing page, they can kind of rank order the offers based on not only the value they perceive they're going to get from the product based on, say, a rewards rate, but also they're evaluating the products based on what the likelihood of approval is for a given card. And what these affiliate partners are hoping will happen is that customers will self-select and steer themselves into products that have high approval rates. Those high approval rates produce good outcomes for them. Those products monetize better since they only got paid at the back of the funnel. And it's a good outcome for the lenders because now a higher percentage of the leads that are coming through the marketplaces are getting approved. Let's keep that context in mind. These marketplaces are looking at data and they're making assessments on what the odds of approval are for a customer, and they're presenting that to the user. So now let's talk about the super lever and the dynamics. And I just want to give a really practical, simple example here so that this comes to life for you. So let's say I'm in one of these marketplaces. Let's say it's the Experian Marketplace for the sake of the example. Currently delivering a 30% approval rate. My click-through rate's 1%.
1%.
Application rate
30%.
1%. So if I look at that entire funnel, I have a 1% CTR, a 30% application rate, 30% approval rate. I'm pulling through at 9 bips all the way through. From the moment my impression is served to the moment I actually convert and pay my affiliate partner 9 bips. So now let's assume I do some work with the affiliate partner. We'll get into the mechanics of this in later episodes, but I want to leave you with the gist of how this all pans out. Let's say I share something about our model or our backend approval model with the partner, and now they're able to really dial into the audience that is most likely to get approved. So my 30% approval rate goes to 80%. My click-through rate also goes up. I'm going to assume it goes from 1% to 2%. And the reason it goes up is because previously our ads might not have been badged with an approval odds rating. And now our approval odds rating might be saying something like excellent or outstanding or some language that indicates to me as the customer that I'm almost certainly going to get this thing if I apply. So, okay, 1% CTR becomes 2. And then That application rate we had previously in the previous example was 30%. I'm going to dial it up here to 33%, just 10% higher on a relative basis. And the reason we're doing that is because now the customer has a higher intent. They're seeing a card they like, and they're seeing that they're very likely to get approved. And what we're going to assume here is that the pull-through rate on the application is going to be slightly better because that customer now has confidence that if they go all the way through with it, they're going to get approved. All right. If you debate the merits of that argument, what I'm about to show you is going to hold for the most part. So let's remember, our previous funnel was 9 bips pull through, 1% times 30% times 30%. Now we're at 2% CTR, 33% application rate, and 80% approval rate. Do the math there, 53 bips pull through rate. That's an almost 6 times more efficient marketing funnel. So for every impression that affiliate partner serves for your ad, for your card, or your loan, or wherever it might be, you're paying them 6x what you used to. That's the reason this is a super lever, is because you've really worked out one thing. Like, you focused on getting your approval rate right. You got a big improvement in your CTR because of the communication that happened up funnel. And then your application rate improved as a result of the higher intent from the ad. And this is the reason my business partner, Robert Sezo, and I spend so much time with our clients optimizing approval rate, is because it has that multiplicative effect across the entire funnel. That's the reason we're obsessed with credit models and targeting. And we spend so much time talking to players, that you're talking to the credit bureaus and the affiliate partners and understanding their platforms. And we're going to get into this in future episodes. It's going to easily be a 15, 20, 30-minute conversation on how this works, what you should be doing to prepare to be successful in these channels. But I'll leave it there for now. It's a big lever, a lot of leverage here. So when you hear me say super lever, I'm talking about approval rate, and I'm talking about the compounding effects it's going to have across your funnel. One last thing here before we drop this topic. Generally speaking, I expect positive select when you're running ads that have like an excellent or a pre-approved or an amazing or whatever that message might be from the publisher. The reason being, like, the best credit risks are going to come through when they have a strong suspicion that they're going to get approved for a card. When it's less certain, they may not be as likely to come through the funnel. The risky prospects are going to come through no matter what you tell them. They could say good, medium, poor, it doesn't matter. If they're credit hungry, they're gonna take a crack at the application. But the best credit risks need to get that confidence, and that's why you should expect positive select from the ad. In this last section, I just want to lay out some, let's just call them words of warning for performance marketers that are new to the affiliate channel. And when I say performance marketers, I'm thinking of channels like direct mail, email, paid search. What those channels have in common is the marketer has an exceptional amount of control over what the customer sees. So direct mail, for example, we're laying out the segmentation, we're choosing the message, we're choosing when the message gets delivered, we're seeing response in real time. When we run programs in the affiliate channels, things we typically control as performance marketers are now in our partners' hands. So things like, how many impressions are we serving? Who are we serving those impressions to? How are we serving those impressions? There's a lot of levers on the front, kind of top of the funnel, that the affiliate's controlling, that they're not necessarily going to share, tell you about. All those things impact your performance, obviously. And like we talked about earlier, our main lever is on the quality of the product and kind of the marketing bullets we share with the lender, but more importantly, the conversion funnel and how often a click turns into a converted customer. That's what we can influence most directly. The struggle there for performance marketers, we don't often control underwriting. We don't often control the application page and how that works. So in a lot of ways, we're reliant on our cross-functional partners to deliver those changes in conversion rate that ultimately drive our outcomes. It means the game we're playing is a lot more indirect, and it's a lot more cross-functional. The other effect here is that it's harder to predict what's going to happen. You're going to get the question from your CMO, from your GM, from your founder, your CEO. So what's going to happen with these affiliates? We did the thing you suggested, and now you're telling us next month's going to be better than this month, but how much? And you're going to be guessing. That's the truth. And oftentimes you can go ask the affiliate, and they're going to tell you the same thing. They're going to refuse to give you a number because in their eyes, if they give you a number, they're committing to a volume, and they're not in the business of committing to you what's going to happen. It's a competitive marketplace over there. So those are some of the challenges coming in. Different ballgame. We'll expand on this in a future episode. There's also just a ton of benefits to affiliate. Once it's humming along, it tends to be quite easy to maintain. CACs are obviously very predictable because they tend to be fixed. There's a host of other benefits. We'll unpack this a little bit further, and I'll give you some tools that I think you can use to manage up and across within your organization and also out to the partner. Let's recap what we went over in today's episode. So we talked about the affiliate deal structure and dynamic. You're paying for performance, one of the big things that's nice about affiliate. So you're never paying the partner typically unless you convert the lead. We talked about how it's high optionality, meaning either side can walk away from the deal or materially change the deal at any time. And that puts pressure on both sides to always deliver for one another. For you, the lender, that means you need to get obsessed with conversion rate. And we talked about how that's a cross-functional effort and not something that you can just simply ask your partner manager to do, for example. We talked about how the right mindset for managing the affiliate channel should be a mindset of service and one where you are programming yourself to work for them and to come to the table saying, hey, how can I help you? How can I help your business? Always remembering that they're a marketplace with 3 constituents to serve. Oftentimes, efforts to strong arm or to get things done through brute force can fall flat. We'll go into more detail on why that is in future episodes. We talked about our super lever, and that's approval rate. And I gave you my take on why when you nail approval rate, you're also nailing click-through rate and you're boosting your application rate. And furthermore, you're seeing positive select, which should get you better loss performance. We're going to really go deep here in future episodes on how to make that all happen. That needs to be top of mind for you, is you need to be watching your approval rate like a hawk when it comes to affiliate and doing everything you possibly can to move that thing up. It's just such an important part to the game here. And then we just finished talking about some words of warning, words of wisdom for performance marketers coming into this for the first time. And the big takeaway being the levers here are a lot more indirect, and it's quite a bit harder to predict and forecast what's going to happen. So, a few quick words before we wrap today. So one is just a reminder, I run a marketing agency called New Market Growth, and we specialize in building and scaling affiliate programs for lenders. My business partner, Robert Sezzo, and I are here should you ever want or need help with your affiliate program. Next, I'd love your feedback about the show. This is costly for me to produce. It takes a lot of time, and your input will help me determine whether it's an investment I should continue. I won't know that unless you tell me. Drop me a line on LinkedIn if we're connected there, or just email me at carlos@newmarketgrowth.com. And finally, I'd love your questions. What got you thinking? What do you disagree with? What's worth further discussion or unpack, or data or research? I'd love to know what would be helpful. Thanks for spending the time with me today, and I hope to see you here again soon.